Good morning. It's Jonathan Barratt with the morning or the war report, the week ahead report. It's May the 17th, and the current time is 7:50. This week, it's going to be I think a bit of a challenging week. We haven't got lots of data out. I guess the most important one is CPI in the States, I think, coming around about Thursday. Not a lot of economic data to get our teeth into, but obviously we've got a lot of things on the political horizon. Obviously major concerns that the euro will soon be bought on eBay, which is a bit of a concern, and also obviously the plunge in that currency to levels when Lehman Brothers went under 2008. So I think it's going to be quite a big test. I think perhaps it is a little bit overrated, some of the movements, but we'll have to see what the euro come up with. Now today in Asia, obviously we'll see a little bit of concern, see how that carries on. We had a weak close to US equity markets as well. So that's going to make probably a bit of a weaker opening for us. But whether or not it might be exaggerated today is another thing. That does seem to be the trend. So when we do get some interesting news, it's exaggerated. It's exaggerated when we lead into Asian trading, and then over in the Europe and US, it's not as bad. But anyway, let's see what happens. Let's have a look at some of the themes and the trends we have been following. Okay, I guess some of the main ones of note. We'll start with the dollar index because that's something which we always tend to have a look at first. Give us a bit of a trend as to what's happening here, and that'll come up. There we are, just coming up now. Now the dollar index in itself, I find, is quite interesting because it remains relatively well bid, but it's coming close to the end of its well, let's see. There's no sign yet that we've had a bit of a turnaround, but as you can see, it's been very well bid there for quite some time. The only way you can really start to get any form of negativeness towards the dollar, if in fact it breaks back below that 86 area, it breaks below that 86. Here you can then start to get a sense of a bit of negative. This sort of movement here does indicate some form of divergence trying to form, but it hasn't been concluded yet. Remember, this is a daily chart, okay? Even though that says 30 minutes, it is a daily chart. Having a look at a little bit of the hourly charts. There you can see there, a little bit there. It's just basically people a bit concerned with what's happening. European trading didn't do too much to it. Also over the weekend we didn't hear much dissuasion from the politicians, but if anything there, people are just slightly concerned, obviously, with what's happening with the euro. I don't feel that they'll make the euro come under pressure. I don't think the euro will be disbanded. They've spent too much time in trying to put it together, so I think it's more of an aberration. Okay, let's have a look at where the Aussies are mucking around. Been a gradual sell-off most of the time. That's purely on the back of risk aversion towards the US dollar. There you can see that hourly chart there. This is a sort of nice, neat correction. You really want it to hold around these levels and get some price increases soon. This could be considered as a measured move. Obviously, a break through that area, we're all wrong. Okay, so that is a worry for me. But anyway, let's see how that unfolds. Nice corrective there, but as I mentioned, let's see, we need to see it back through 89. If we see it back through 89 in the next 24 hours, then I can be bullish again, no problems. Okay, so that's a bit on the currencies there. I guess have another quick look at the pound here because, as you can see, that's another one which has been under a lot of pressure. But just be wary, these sorts of movements here, they are quite bullish, okay? And I sort of look at those things and I actually don't mind them because a breakthrough 146.20 on the other side would signify a low for us. Okay, let's have a look at some of the commodities now. And I guess more so, here's the gold chart. Now, this is really, really interesting. Why is it interesting? Well, we're obviously up around these areas and trying a lot of movement here up around that 112 or 1240, 1250. But when you look at the hourly chart, we had a double top here forming, right at the top here. Now, those highs I think are quite interesting because, let's just try and get that, there we go. Because up around here, up around that 112 or 1248 area, it failed and it came back miserably on the back of weaker equity markets. So people moving away out of equities and perhaps into gold. We got to move all the way down to that 12.17. So, as you can see, very volatile and a little bit unsure of how that's going to unfold. But obviously, a break through that top side, you got to be, if you are short, straight to look to take some off from there. Okay, let's have a look at local markets and just have a look at the SPY index here and see what sort of lead we're going to get out of it today. Naturally, when I do these sorts of things, we look at the daily chart first, and then once we've looked at the daily chart, we then go back and look at the hourly charts. It's always best to, first of all, get a bit of an idea on what's happening on the daily charts first. Now, this is going to be interesting here. 4,600, that's obviously, yeah, 4,600. A break through that, we can expect this correction to be a little bit more, probably come back to 4,600, and we want to really see that that actually hold quite nicely. Let's see how it does unfold, but obviously we're going to have a weak opening. This area is the area of buying. That's around 4,500, 4,550. That's the area of accumulation if you want to, and that's the area where I think the market will certainly like to support it. A break through that area on the downside, a break through that 4,450, then we've got another trend starting to develop. So when you look at that one there, just let's try that, see what happens there. Yeah, so just be careful of that. I'm just trying a different thing on one of the charts. Let's try now get that. Okay. And hopefully this will come up, mate. Look a little, this gives a little bit more of a lead as to what's happening. There we go. As you can see, this is the daily chart. That's that area of accumulation I've mentioned. But as long as we stay above here, this is the lower end of the range. So I think I'd be a little bit more confident. It has to stay above 44.70 on a daily close. That's the one you want to keep an eye on, because if it breaks through that area on the downside, then we do go lower. But as we've seen, it's proved 1, 2, 3 times as support, so it should hold up again. Okay, let's have a quick look at copper, because that's one of copper and crude. Looking at copper, very hard to trade at the moment on the copper markets, but it's been stuck in a range for some time, and there it is there. It's still in that range, 309, 310. This does all look like it's reasonable stuff, reasonably healthy at the lower end of the range, but just be close to it. Nothing too concrete there at the moment by way of a trade. We are out of that market. Crude, we mentioned on several of the reports that she is under pressure, and the concern, the fallout there is that euro concern, economic performance, down she comes. And that's what we've seen over there, and as you can see there, 70 is probably the focal point for it. That is a key level we did talk about on Friday's show. So let's have a look and see how that's come into an accumulation zone there. Okay, now let's now move on to, won't look at the softs or anything because we're running a bit out of time, but I will sort of mention a little bit on crude, not on crude, on sugar, because we have actually got a position in there. And as you can see, we've got that position there. We have had it for some time, but we have been quite happy to hold on to it because we feel it's more of an aberration as to what's occurred. There's the low, there are the supports. We're right at the lower end, that's why we like it. This looks corrective in a 1, 2, there's a big 3 there, 4, 5. So I actually feel that I'm putting the low there around about that 13 cents. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that come up a little bit from here. Okay, let's have a look at, that's probably it on that. But on terms of the trades, we've got two bad positions. One is sugar, the other is the euro, and we've also break even in the Aussie now. So I'm going to have to manage those and probably reduce some of the size of the positions. They are very tiny positions, so I haven't been too worried because I feel that this area is a volatile area because we're trying to find a low. Now volatility, naturally, trying to find a low here, and then we'll see how that unfolds. But yeah, a little bit nervous at the moment with these positions, but I'm going to give it today. If not today or tomorrow, I'll probably start to cut positions because, as they often say, picking the bottom, you can get messed up a bit. We weren't picking the bottom, but we just thought there was a mismatch in timing and pricing. Okay, now just quickly on the economic calendar, not a lot out of note. We've got all the usual ones. I guess the most important ones we've got coming out are the CPI data, CPI in the UK tomorrow night, and we've got PPI in America on Tuesday, That's going to be widely watched. And in Wednesday, I think Wednesday's the important ones here where we've got all the CPI data. So that's probably the major bit of economic news we've got this week. Everything else is pretty quiet. There's not a lot out, and expect Friday, after leading indicators on Thursday night. But Friday, there doesn't seem to be a lot of data in the States. So as you can see there, not out of a lot there in the States, so pretty quiet from that. That's about it. That's about it from me today for the week ahead report. As I said, there's a few themes to follow. Let's see if we get them out of the way, and let's focus on a few things. A couple of the trades are hurting us a little bit, but they are tiny positions, so I'm not too worried about them. But that's about it. Hope you have a good day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.